Firstly, Mark. Mark is an experiential trainer, speaker and author, and runs an international professional development business called Playmeo. He is an expert at helping teachers develop pedagogical skills and strategies to deliver programs that engage and motivate students to participate and get along in a socially responsible manner. Mark is best known for his top-selling books, No Props and Serious Fun, and developing the world's largest online database of group games and activities. Mark's topic is We Should Take Fun More Seriously. Can we please offer a warm South Australian welcome to Mark Collard to present the keynote.
We'll work on that now. Welcome to Mark. Sincere apologies, because technology isn't fun sometimes. I was working 10 minutes ago brilliantly, so just bear with us for a moment while we work through the technological challenges.
I think I've got his. We're going to need the USB. Has he got a USB?
I'll do it.
Has he got it on USB anyway? Yeah, but does he have it on USB as well? So we can, because this isn't even turning on now.
This symbol,
This is
iconic, often seen in emoticons and so forth, is often understood to be a form or a sign, a symbol of gratitude. I certainly wish to have and acknowledge my thanks for the work that you do. But it's also opening my presentation this morning, regardless of the AV that is or isn't supporting me right now. You will note that as you place your two hands together, and if you haven't already done this, go ahead and do this now in a form of gratitude, that your middle fingers, often the tallest ones, are meeting, and I invite you now to cross them. They pass each other. You might be asking, which way do I go? Is one in front of the other? There is a right and a wrong way, but from here, having crossed your middle fingers, I ask you now to slide your hands so that one finger is pointing up and the other finger is pointing down. Now, from this position, when you crossed your fingers then turned your hands, if you heard a crack, turn the other way. Having got to this point, in what I refer to as the wiggle-waggle, you then get to have some fun by moving your fingers. Of course, you can go in different directions as well. If you're not quite sure how to do this, look on to one of your partners and maybe they can help you produce that. Go ahead and help your brothers and sisters.
Mark, have you got your USB? And I'll try to load it onto another computer. Sorry, Mark. This one here. Sound one work on you. My video. Thank you.
there's only one video.
I can keep them busy for a good 10 minutes, so don't stress. And what was called on here? It's called this one. These two under taste will be this one. So, returning to one of gratitude. All of you will have many professional and personal reasons for being here, often viewed individually, but the kicker is, as we all understand, is that we can make an impact. That's the whole point of being an educator, is to make a difference to the young people that we're working with. It's the reason we put on conferences, so that we can make a difference collectively. So from here, regardless of your ability to wiggle-waggle or not, I'm going to invite you now to move from this position. Start from here and go like this. Your hands will now meet the palms of your neighbours, and your object now is to wiggle-waggle with your partners. Make it happen. Well played. Allow me to continue.
So have we got another USB?
Can I just check? Can folks at the back hear me if I project my voice at the moment? It's a little easier than being messed up there with the technology. allow them to get their work done. I have been introduced. My name is Mark Collard. I'm an experiential trainer. I hail from Victoria. I think I have presented at 27 of the last 29 Victorian chapter conferences, many international ACHPER conferences and other state bodies as well. I happen to work in the business of experiential learning. I'm inviting people to have fun, be engaged through group activities, and build relationships. Now, I've told you my name, but I haven't given you my full name. It is Mark Allen Collard. I want to tell you a little story that in a moment I'm going to invite you to share with others, perhaps those left, right, front or back of you. But I'm going to share the story of my name. My last name is Collard. I would have a slide for this, but let me just spell it to you. C-O-L-L-A-R-D. It is a mistake. Because 3 generations ago, my great-grandfather had our name Collard, C-A-L-L-A-R-D, incorrectly transposed by a government official, and I have that form in our ancestry documentation to prove that we were once Collards, incorrectly transposed, from that point on became Collards, which is why in Melbourne there are very few Collards in the telephone directory. My middle name is Allen, A-L-A-N, because in my family, no worries, in my family, the father's name is passed down as the middle name of their firstborn son. So my father's name was Alan James Collard because his father was James. I'm Mark Allen Collard because my dad was Alan. Guess what? My son Devon is Devon Mark Collard. There was no pressure, of course, to follow that tradition. But the best part about the story of my name is my first name. You know my father's name is Alan. Mark was the first name of my mother's second favourite boyfriend. True story. I guess the deal was, I'll marry you, Alan, if we can name our first son after the other guy. It could have been the other way around. I invite you now to turn to the person left or right of you, maybe the person front or back, maybe look for someone maybe you don't know too well, if at all, and invite you to share your name. Now, you probably sit in one of 2 places. One of, I actually do know the story behind my name. I know why I'm named those certain names. And I invite you to share if you choose. But if you happen to sit in the space of, I have no clue why I'm called, you have my permission to make it up. Impress that person with the story of your name. Go. To wrap the conversation. Thank you, partners, for sharing. Well played. And we're really clear about my language. I said, well played. I'm using the word play. It's embedded in the name of my business. It has certainly been a thread throughout all of my career, now spanning almost 30 years in the work that I've done with groups. But can I invite you now to lean in a little bit more to understand what has just happened Notwithstanding the technical issues and so forth, that was not even relevant. I planned to start like this anyway. But help me out. What did you just notice? What occurred over the last 5 to 10 minutes as I invited you to play? What were some of the elements of the characteristics of what just occurred?
Communication.
There was communication, so there might have been abilities to share and communicate with others. Good.
Connection.
There was a connection. Okay. How did that occur?
Sharing of feelings and stories and whether true or not.
Got it. Yeah, whether they were true or not. You had an opportunity to share. Good. What else?
Laughing.
There was definitely lots of laughter. I don't know about you, but this is not a comedy club. Maybe you were telling jokes, but there was a release. It was a flourishing of the human spirit that is embraced when we have an opportunity to share. What else?
Physical contact.
There was physical contact. Okay, so bringing us back to that first activity.
De-stress.
De-stressed, and there was something over here. Interaction. Yep. Did anyone have a gun to your head? I didn't see it. So we could also suggest one of the characteristics was that it was voluntary. I take you back, and I'm actually videoing this. We're not going to hear the take back, but I guarantee you, my language was, I invited you. If you were quite happy to sit there and think about your shopping list to remember to get the milk and bread when you go home, that's cool, and it wouldn't have mattered an iota on the impact of the activity. But you were chosen. You chose to actually participate in that space. My argument in the short time I have to share with you today, and throughout all of the work that I do physically with groups, through interaction, is to take fun more seriously. In fact, it was the topic of my most recent book called Serious Fun. Serious Fun was about the power of using play to invite people to interact, but to look at it a little bit more powerfully. Dr. Stuart Brown, who is the Director, CEO of the National Institute for Play, has done a lot of research in this space. And some years ago when he wrote his book called Play, was sharing the research about the import, the powerful paradigm that when play is introduced into a group setting. And no doubt there's probably benefits for the individual, but a lot of my work, as is yours, is often in a group context. Some of the things you shared with me about what just happened this morning are up here, but at a deeper level. In particular, it was purposeless. You're sitting here at a professional learning environment, and I invite you to share your name and to play a silly little wiggle-waggle game that I learned from my parents when I was very young, because they learned that when they did this, it occupied me for a period of time. Thank you to Alan and Joy Collard. So, play, in terms of its essence, is apparently purposeless. You would have many activities that you would regard in your life as playful. Because at this point I need to also help you broaden your understandings of what play is. Play is not an activity. It is a state of mind. And I know that when, no matter what the content is, the group that I'm working with and the setting and culture in which it's set, that if I can bring people to a place of play, transformation is possible. Because it is impossible to not be who you are in a truthful, playful environment. So it's apparently purposeless. It's voluntary, as you said, there was no guns held to your head. You got to choose if you wanted. It's inherently attractive. I used that same activity 2 days ago in Geelong with 800 people in an auditorium. And there was a palpable energy about the space. And they didn't even have to talk, but it was they wanted to play. It felt safe. Freedom of time. It's that concept of flow. Do you have that thing in your life, that stuff that you love to do? You get so absorbed by it, then you look up and you realise it's dark? Wow, where'd the time go? I'm pretty sure that probably didn't describe my schooling, where I was concentrating on the clock at the back of the room as to when is this going to finish. So it's possible that time passed fairly quickly. There were many sessions that I run that often that's the most common thing people say is that, wow, I can't believe an hour has just passed, or where did the day go? That's that essence of play, the freedom of time. Imagine the impact of that in classrooms, regardless of content, where you are so absorbed by what you're doing and engaged with the content and what you're learning, that time just passes. Further properties of play. Not particularly conscious of what you're doing. From the front, you all look pretty goofy. doing this sort of stuff. But it was fun. It was a safe place. And guess what? No one was watching you. It's possible that maybe your partners were, but there wasn't a spotlight on you. Another essence of play is that you do lose, that it's a diminished sense of what's happening around you. Improvisational potential. There were many ways in which you found the wiggle-waggle, or many ways in which you shared your story. So when play is truly present, creativity flourishes. I have a 5.5-year-old son. He's just started school this year. He went back to school today. Victoria staggered their school holidays, different to most states of Australia this year. And it has been absolutely awesome to watch my little boy build his imagination through creativity and improvisation. It's one of his strongest strengths, is the ability to imagine. And finally, another element of play, why I believe we should take this far more seriously regardless of your content, is a continuation to desire. You want it to continue. If you're enjoying it, you're finding value in it, no matter what the content is, if there is play present. Remember, it's not a game. Play is a state of mind. Is that it's going to want to get going, and going. Also, play is more than just an activity as I described, but it's also fundamentally linked to our emotional well-being. Again, many studies a long time ago, but in particular highlighted by William Glasser, a psychologist from America, talked of these key 4 emotional needs. Belonging. That sense of wanting to belong, to identify, to be acknowledged, to be loved, is an essential need of human beings. Personal power, the ability to take responsibility, to be in control of your destiny, are elements of our emotional health. Personal freedom, again, linked to responsibility, but the ability to make choices, linked to our emotional health. And stunningly, happily, fun, or play, or flow, is a crucial element of our emotional health. Indeed, Dr. Stuart Brown from the National Institute for Play, in his book Play, talked of play as critical to the development of human beings as sleep and nutrition. There would be no one in this room that could argue the case that human beings, in order to flourish and to develop, can go without sleep. That's a slam dunk, we got that. Same with nutrition, got that. No one can deny that. Well, elevated to that same position of incredible value is the essence of play and having fun. Indeed, in the research that he talks of in that book, his research actually studied many, many groups, one of which were incarcerated youth. This was not a cause and effect, but discovered a very strong correlation between play deficit and those kids in incarceration. This is not saying if you've got a large play deficit, you're going to end up in jail. Their point was there was a strong correlation between those youth that were incarcerated and many of them, and to the value of 0.6 of having a significant deficit of play in their life. Yet I know, and I live in the real world like you, that play is often viewed as wasteful. To play games, you may have even thought that yourself. It's like, why are we playing games? This is a serious professional endeavour. Are we not wasting time? Why? Where is the productivity here? Yet the science has clearly shown that this is valuable. And I think our challenge is to be able to integrate elements of this, which is why I believe it should be taken seriously, no matter your content, but today, particularly in HPE, to be taken more seriously. Now, as physical educators, you're well aware of the benefits of fitness. From a perspective of, that it's useful for attention, it's useful for waking up brains, it's clearly useful for long lives and keeping us healthy. But one of the most powerful benefits of play in that space is, of course, the opportunities to interact, to be in a group setting.